And together we affirm our good, our God, by saying amen.
Thank you, Judith. And now, celebrating the 245th anniversary of the creation of the United States Navy, 1 year before the United States was created. Do we have a patriotic song, Kirk?
Go Navy.
And past President Steve, if anybody was wondering why the United States Naval Academy Choir was singing about the Marine Corps, could you explain that?
The Marine Corps is part of the Department of the Navy, and the Naval Academy commissions officers in the Navy and the Marine Corps.
Thank you.
There's a joke that we always say, but I'm going to let you slide this time.
Thank you. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated, and thank you to all of the people who are helping out today, including, but not limited to, our photographer, Tina. Thank you for doing that. And let's see, up on the screen, I see Jim Hunt. Jim, did you want to tell us about the Wheelchair Foundation?
Thank you, President Richard. Yes, actually, things are going pretty well. We went past the 30 wheelchair deliver mark recently, and I'm sure as all of you are seeing in the wheel, we're continuing to make deliveries to those who truly, really need a new wheelchair. Some that have lost limbs and some that are obviously permanently disabled. I know I have one that I'm going to be trying to deliver in the next few days to a 15-year-old girl with Down syndrome. So please continue to get the word out on your Facebook pages and with your friends that we do have the chairs available, that they're brand new Ferrari red, lightweight chairs, and the people that we're bringing them to are just overjoyed to get them. I mean, it's a truly wonderful experience to be involved in. And I want to again thank Russ Swain for storing them and helping to deliver them. Howie Hopkinson, Brock Frazier, and Randy Donald. The team is all over the city, and we're ready to help when anybody gets a tip. Appreciate the help.
Thank you, Jim. And I think I saw Karen Wisenhunt on the screen.
I'm here.
Karen, did you want to tell us something about our Global Grant Scholar?
I am delighted to introduce Shantae Benjamin, and she is visiting us via Zoom today from Tel Aviv. And I'm going to open up for her to just give us a quick update on where she's at and how the COVID issue is working in Israel for her right now as she continues on with her studies in global peace and fellowship. Go ahead, Shantae. Welcome.
That's the way to take in a meeting right there. Way to go, Karen.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you're all staying safe and healthy. So it's about 10:30 p.m. here. And we've actually had one of the highest infection rates, unfortunately, in the world. So there has been a very strict lockdown since I arrived about a month ago. But they are starting to ease restrictions, and I'm hoping that after the first few weeks of classes, which start next week, I will be able to actually do my courses in person. I haven't met my host Rotary Club in person yet, but I was able to introduce myself on a Zoom call, which was nice. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about their service. Thank you so much for letting me share some time with you today and an update, and hopefully I'll have more to share next time.
Thank you. What time is it right now in Tel Aviv?
10:30 p.m.
Well, thank you for staying up to share that with us then.
Thank you.
Brief reminder that we still need to RSVP to satisfy the contract we have with Lowry's. So please remember to RSVP to Sean each week. Also, there are clipboards on the table where you came in and the table here for you to sign up for a variety of things. We don't circulate the clipboards anymore, again, because of the COVID rules, but please, on your way in or on your way out, take a look at those clipboards, and if there's something you need to sign up for, please do that. We will also, after today's meeting, we're going to have another brief candy extravaganza, stuffing bags of candy for the school children at Bracken. And so if you can stay and help, please do. We probably need 4 or 5 people. We're down to the last 100 bags, so we'd like to get it done and finished today. Janice, did you want to tell us about the club? Yep. Auction? Either way.
Thank you. I keep wanting to grab the dang microphone. Okay, so our Cuisine and Octane group committee has been very busy. We're doing a virtual fundraiser November 19th through December 3rd. It benefits the numerous community services of the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation. By now, you've all received an email. There's going to be about 75 different auction items to bid on. Everybody will receive a link, and you can pass that on to business associates, friends, neighbors, anybody in the country, because they will ship the items. And then our club has probably about a dozen items that we had secured for the spring fundraiser. Those we will also showcase on this auction, but there's going to be everything from art, certificates, jewelry, trips, you name it, sports, and it's going to be pretty incredible. So watch for that. We'll probably send the link out later next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. And I know a number of you have been complaining, gosh, I want to buy tickets to the 25 Club raffle. Where can I find those tickets? Is there anybody in the room selling those tickets?
I'm Italian. I can't not use my hands. Okay. Okay, if any of you haven't bought tickets yet, please, please come and see me. We have to beat the Kiwanians again this year, and you get a chance to win $5,000. So come and see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. We're also continuing to sell the most fashionable face masks anywhere in town. And so on your way in or on your way out, Bob Werner is now going to demonstrate. Who knew that he was a runway model? Demonstrating his face mask. Looks like we're going to be wearing these for a while, so please purchase them at the front table. I don't know, Joan Murdoch, did you want to say something about your donation to the foundation? Hey, did we catch you with a mouthful? That's the picture I want.
Well, I know that the Rotary Foundation is a very important part of our club, and I had only been donating my minute amount as the sheets came around. But I just felt like at this point in my life, I wanted to give above that. So I donated $2,500 to the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation.
Thank you very, very much.
Boy, I know this will come as a shock and a surprise to everyone in the room, but that may be all of our announcements for this week. Oh, I'm sorry. Susan, did you have?
Very quickly, I wanted to alert you all, if you haven't already received a email from Sign Up Genius, but that's me sending them out. And if it's ending up in your spam filter, please acknowledge it as an acceptable email to receive so that you'll get notifications when you've signed up. It'll remind you. You don't have to call and ask. All you have to do is log in to Sign Up Genius to sign up, and then it'll automatically send you reminders. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Mike, President-elect Mike, I think, has an announcement.
I'm not sure if I'm in trouble or not, but I think I missed the introduction of guests. Did we already do that?
No, we didn't do that yet.
Okay.
But you know
Well,
what?
since
That's a
I'm
great-
here,
That's a great segue. Go ahead and let's start with the introduction of guests.
I'm happy to invite my guest, Ty Salazar, who many of you know and is beloved. Yes. So I'd like to welcome him back. Thanks.
You want to say something?
I'm good right now. I usually don't need the mic right now. And I'd like to invite my guest who's attending the meeting for the second time, Austin Wyrick, with Noise for Toys.
Welcome aboard.
Hi, you guys. Past President Russ Swain here. I do have a guest today, but it's not my guest. It's past President Jim Hunt's guest, and it's his brother, John Hunt, and he's running for District 2.
I just want to say that it's so important because my brother and I, although I'm not a Rotarian, we were instilled with service. And that's why I'm running for judge, because I think it should be a capstone, not a stepping stone, and give back to the community. And I have 36 years of experience and trial and everything you can imagine. But now's the time for the community to get the benefit of service. So I hope you'll support me. Thank you.
Past President Steve Linder here. My guest is my friend Gail from.
Where's your mask?
My friend
know the
Gail.
rules.
Gail from Pittsburgh. We went to high school together.
I have nothing to say except we did go to high school together.
I'd like to introduce my guest, Stuart Sobek. He is a former Rotarian from Northern California and is also the founder of the Las Vegas Concourse de Elegance, and he's checking out our club.
Hoorah.
Do we have any other guests, friends of Rotarians, visiting Rotarians?
So we have one visitor on Facebook Live, Kathy Miller Hart, who's visiting us from the Green Valley Rotary Club.
Hi, I'm David Maffey. I'm the guest of Paul Maffey, who forgot about me. So I'm introducing myself. He's my favorite son.
Oh, well, gosh, that's a great segue right into the next segment, which would be fines. So I'll let anyone in the room who wants to volunteer what Paul should be fined for forgetting he invited his son. Anybody have any suggestions for what the fine for that should be?
How old is your son, Paul?
There are 4 sons.
So 4 times your son's age, is that what I'm hearing?
I'll tell them right. Excuse me. I think it should be at least a ticket towards the raffle.
Oh, all right.
I'm in.
That's
All right.
That's a great suggestion.
Thank you, Paul. And moving on to the moment that everyone anxiously awaits, the drawing for the Joker. Oh, my goodness. And so this week, it is not someone in this room, it's someone on the screen. Let's see. And there she is, Arlene. Arlene Sirois. And did you designate someone to draw for you out of the deck? You'll have to unmute yourself. Stu, can you get Arlene back?
Yeah, she's still there. She's just muted.
Okay, are you ready?
There you go. She's back now.
I want the 4th card from your right, Richard.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The 4th card from your right.
Congratulations. Congratulations, you picked the 8 of spades.
Yay.
Thank you. Now, for having missed the Joker, you do get the consolation prize. Where'd you go? There you go. We'll save it for you. Morning. And for the Lowry's Bucks, oh, it is somebody in the room. So for the Lowry's Bucks, the ticket winner is 8140163. All right, come on down. It's obvious what's important to Rotarians because the room became totally silent.
Who was the winner? We couldn't see the winner on Zoom. Who was the winner?
Oh, I'm sorry. The winner was Kristen Nicholas.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that. Maybe we'll have a few minutes of fellowship to let our speaker finish eating his lunch. And so those of you who are on the Zoom meeting, I apologize for the dead air time, but Stu, is there a way that the people on Zoom can talk to each other without talking to the whole world?
Only if you mute us at your end. Otherwise, anything we say between us, you'll hear in the room. So if you want to mute us on your end, so that we're not connected to the house sound, we can talk to each other.
Why would you want to be muted then? We
No,
might
no,
pick
no.
up some good fine material.
No, anything we say will be heard in the room unless you disconnect us from the house sound. So it's up to you. If you want to hear us talk to each other, we can do that, but you'll hear us talk unless you disconnect us from the house sound. Kirk knows how to do that. I suggest we start talking to each other, and if they're upset with us, they'll tell us.
It'll be like having another table in the room.
Yeah, except that we're one big table, everybody hearing us. So what do people think about two town halls tonight competing with each other at exactly the same time? I realized that this morning when I turned on the news. I was kind of amazed that the networks seem to be dueling with each other. I forget who it is, but I think NBC's carrying Trump, and there's a big movement on the part of the far left to boycott NBC forever because they're allowing Trump to compete with Biden's town hall tonight on ABC.
Sounds too political to me.
Yeah. Well, I want to see them both. I'd like to see them both in the same room, but so one of the things that's going to happen apparently is the pollsters, not the pollsters, but the audience measurement firms are going to be carefully watching, surveying how many people are watching which of the debates and try to use that as some sort of indicator of where popular sentiment is. But I want to hear the Biden debate, not necessarily because I support him. I just, he's been so silent about stuff that I'm hoping that maybe there'll be some questions that reveal what his policies actually are.
Shantae, tell us about some of your classes that you're going to have.
So I have a class in international law, and there's a class that is taught side by side. It's called Islamic and Jewish Perspectives of Conflict Resolution, and it's taught side by side by a Muslim and a Jewish professor. Let's see what else. We have a mediation workshop, which is like where we will get a UN certification after we finish it. There's lots of negotiation courses and social psychological aspects of conflict resolution. So it really takes a look at conflict resolution from every different angle. So I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm excited for it.
I think they're ready to start up again here, so we should probably go back on mute. And they should unmute at Lowry's now because we can't hear them.
Everybody
of
point to your ears.
basically recreating the city of North Las Vegas, which at the time had over $150 million deficit. If you recall from 7 years ago, if you read in the RJ or in the Sun, they were predicting when the city of North Las Vegas might fall under state oversight, basically a bankruptcy. So Ryan and his team, including the mayor and Darren Adair, who was the chief financial officer, basically reconstructed the city of North Las Vegas, their departments, their budget, which they took on the novel task of actually, Ryan decided, I'm going to make sure that the city's expenses mirror our revenues. Isn't that a new idea for government? Over the next 4 years, they erased the deficit of the city of North Las Vegas. They also restructured the city so it became the most business-friendly jurisdiction in this valley, which attracted a lot of real estate development, including efforts by my company. And it was really interesting to see how welcome businesses became in North Las Vegas as they shifted to a revenue-first model instead of an expense-first model. Ryan eventually became the city manager of North Las Vegas. And the only grudge I have with John Lee at this point, and having Ryan there as the city manager, is I think his services might be really well used in the state right now in Carson City, redoing our state budget the way he did the city of North Las Vegas. I'm happy to introduce a friend, Ryan Juden.
Well, that was kind. It's good to be with you all today. When I saw this, I same thing. The font, I thought, man, my eyes are bad. And then I saw that it says State of the City, and I thought, man, nobody better tell the mayor that I'm doing the State of the City, because that is his thing. He loves it, and that's what he does. So we'll just pretend that's not on there. But it's great to be with you today. It's good to kind of feel like we're coming back a little bit, right? I was talking with staff the other day, and they were talking about they were just going to wait. I said, what are you waiting for? This is where we're at right now. This is you want to call it the new normal, call it whatever you want to call it. This is where we're at. We could be here for who knows how much longer. Go and do it. Don't wait any longer. So it's kind of good to see that things are kind of coming back a little bit. As Tom said, I came into the city of North Las Vegas. The mayor first called me in the summer of 2013. He was leaving some event at Rancho High School where he's an alum. And he just called. He said, hey, I'm thinking about running for mayor of North Las Vegas. And I said, well, is North Las Vegas still there? Because as Tom said, all we were seeing in the paper was how they were going into state receivership. They were going into bankruptcy. Their union contracts were all a mess. He says it is. And I said, oh, is there a mayor right now? He goes, there is. He goes, Ryan, don't worry about the politics. What I want you to do is I want you to put together a plan on how we would save the city of North Las Vegas. I said, a plan? He goes, yeah, like a business plan. He said, let's say we're buying North Las Vegas. I said, I would not buy North Las Vegas. And he goes, well, okay, Ryan, let's say our uncle gave it to us. It's an inheritance. I said, we're not related. So, and he goes, just put together a business plan. Let's take a look at it. I this community's given so much back to me that I think we need to help it. And so that was kind of how I started in North Las Vegas. I put together a plan. The mayor made some little notes in the column. It seems like every word that he wrote turned into 12 pages of analysis. And the plan was really pretty simple. It was leverage the natural assets of the city. Don't be scared of who you are, embrace it, and do it really well. Another critical part of the plan is not to return back to the existing tax base, whether it be residential or business, but that if you had problems, because the city had a revenue problem, and the way you should solve a revenue problem is by generating more revenues, not necessarily from those that exist that are already taxed out of their brains, but by expanding the tax base. And so that's one of the things that we put in motion and started working on. We looked at the natural assets from Apex Industrial Park. If you've ever talked to the mayor for 5 minutes, he's probably said Apex a couple times. To the land around the Speedway, which was just lacking a little bit of critical infrastructure. And if you could bring that there, then kind of like the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. To the land around the VA hospital, if you've ever seen the VA hospital up on the 215, the VA system themselves call it the jewel of their system. It's a tremendous asset. There's nothing but like turtles around it. Desert, nothing. That's such a huge asset that we knew that you could leverage that. So what we did is, fortunately, in 2011, the state had put together an economic development plan with Brookings Institute and SRI. I was affiliated with Brookings. So we went back to them and we looked at the specific sectors that were identified by the state. And we started targeting those specific sectors and went and started talking to businesses. Now we had to make a lot of changes in City Hall. One of the things a lot of people don't, I worked in the White House, which sounds awesome, but I never really worked in the White House. I worked in the Eisenhower Executive Office building, which was over the side. So even when my mom said I was in the White House, I really was like there twice. But in that, when you're walking down the hall, they've got a lot of pictures of the White House through different things. And one picture that was kind of outside of, I was in the fellowship program that was outside of the door of that program, was this photo of the White House during Truman's administration. And it's the inside of the White House, and inside the White House, there is a crane, there is a big dump truck, and a front end loader, because they literally gutted the entire inside of the White House. If you were outside walking down Pennsylvania or looking at the White House, you wouldn't even know what was going on. Because Truman he didn't believe that the one branch of government should look like it was closed to the public, and that the other branches of government or Congress might get a little crazy and think that they were the only people in town. So he didn't want to do that. He took the option of, let's renovate the White House from the inside. That's what we did at City Hall. We knew that the first thing we needed to do was we needed to take care of business in City Hall. We needed to do what we could, still keep City Hall. If you looked at it, it still looked like it was going fine. I didn't plan on coming into the city of North Las Vegas. I put together the plan, thought I could maybe get a contract with the city to help implement the plan, do some governance strategy, things like that. And then the mayor wasn't able to make changes. Things weren't able to happen. The bureaucracy in government has a tendency to wait things out. You bring in an idea and it'll say, it's smart, right? These technocrats are smart. And they'll start thinking, okay, how much longer do you have? What's the political dynamics? Yeah, that's a great idea. But really in their mind, they're thinking, I got to wait this out for 3 years and I won't have to do it. So when the mayor asked me to come in, he made 2 promises to me. He said, first, Ryan, you'll have every tool that you need to implement the plan. And second, no one's going to like you. And then they've both been true, actually. He asked me to pull the 2 little tickets out of the bowl to see who was going to win. He said, 2 people are going to be happy and everyone else is not going to like you. I'm like, just like work. This works. I can do that. And the reason why I think that it's no one's going to like you is because in government, there tends to be a lot of people that work there that believe they're entitled to their jobs. They have forgotten that we're public servants. And somewhere along the line, you have to highlight, bold, servant. And that's one of the things that I love is Tom mentioned the team that came in with Darren and I. Mitch Fox came in. We all came in. We knew that we were going to come in, make less than we were in the private sector, but it was real for me. It's really intriguing. Like, wow, I could take a plan. Let's implement it. Let's see if we can do it. Justice Brandeis was a Supreme Court justice, and he's kind of considered a founding father of federalism, other than the founding fathers who really founded it. But one of the things that he said is that states are the laboratories of democracy. And that's the idea that, for example, take healthcare to national level. The correct way to do it is have states experiment. And then at the federal level, if it's necessary, you can pool what works best in the state level and create something nationally that should be the best of all worlds. I actually believe local government should be the laboratory of democracy, or it is the true laboratory of democracy. And that's one of the things that we've done in North Las Vegas that I'm very proud of the team, is we have experimented with things. Some things have worked, some things haven't worked. We understand that, those that are in the private sector, we do that all the time. We try something out. If it doesn't work, we don't throw, good money after bad. We reassess, recalibrate, try something else. I mean, think about it. If you go down the potato chip aisle, there'll probably be some weird flavors that are there today that won't be there in 6 months because they just don't work. But there's something about government where they take an idea, once they've got it, it's moved through the process, they won't stop putting money into it when it doesn't even work. And they know it doesn't work. And that goes back to kind of this entitlement thing where they think their jobs might be on the line. They might lose something if it gets nixed, if it doesn't work. But we've encouraged our staff, experiment with things, try things out. If it doesn't work, we'll learn a lot. And I also say too, like, don't do it a second time though. You can go work in Henderson. Because, yeah, I do say that. So we like to experiment in things in North Las Vegas. I think it's led to very good deliverables and outcomes for the community. I think that as we've come out of the crisis that we inherited in North Las Vegas, and by the way, Darren and I both gave a 1-year commitment to the mayor. We were just talking this morning in my office. 5 years later, we're both still there. And it's because the passion of it. It's tremendously fun. It's exciting to try different things. Whenever we started to turn the corner financially, we had bonding agencies that actually flew into North Las Vegas to visit with us. S&P and Moody's, they made site calls. They don't ever do that because they wanted to try and understand, what are you guys doing? Because they have other clients that they need to share the information with. And so we talked to management in Detroit. We talked to management in Stockton and Viejo, because Moody's hooked us up with them to kind of help them try and do what we were doing and why it was working. Prior to the pandemic, we had scholars that came to City Hall from the Pew Institute to research and try and understand how we were doing things. In reality, it's just we were injecting private sector thought into government, and it does work. It can work, but it's difficult, right? You always hear about draining the swamp. We had a swamp in North Las Vegas, and there's something about draining the swamp that you don't really think about when you think about the imagery. When you drain it, the alligators get really mad. And the lower the water goes, the madder they get. So you have to, there are these unintended consequences that happen whenever you start to implement things that you think should be done. And fortunately for us, we've had a mayor and council that are more concerned about doing the right thing. And that's been tremendously helpful. I've said that to my directors before. I said, listen, I'll be the best city manager you've had because I didn't even know what a city manager really was 6 years ago. I never circled it on a resume. It's not something that I've aspired to. So I'm more interested in doing the job than keeping the job. And that liberates you in many ways. It allows you to do things. We all see that in our businesses where you're able to go do things because you do it based on data. You do it based on things that you think will work. and you do the right thing and let the consequences follow. So coming into the pandemic, we were very fortunate that we were able to change the course of the city of North Las Vegas. We inherited a $157 million budget shortfall. There were tremendous other challenges that happened. In fact, I think if we knew all the things once we started uncovering stuff, I probably would have told the mayor, no thanks, because you just kept uncovering things as you went along. We were able to turn things around. We were 7 grades below junk. We're now investment grade. We were investment grade prior to going in. We were able to refinance City Hall and other things. One of the things that they had done in the city that was really not very smart is they took a smart bond and they used that and leveraged it to build libraries and other things. And it just kind of polluted all of our bonding. So we had to really go back and untwine that, kind of like Christmas lights. We're all going to be doing that in a month. Like, how do these things get all mixed up and tangled up? I put them together, like I put them away so nice 12 months ago. So that exercise has allowed us to refinance assets within the city, which over time has a little over $100 million in savings and interest, which is great for the city moving forward. We went in to our bargaining groups and really kind of had a different approach with them. They wanted to bargain and said, there's nothing to bargain. Like, we don't have anything to bargain. So we did the CarMax approach. We're like, here it is. And you learn some lessons there, which is like they have members that they have to please. So they want to have a little bit of WWF going on. So I'm like, okay, well then let's fight it out. But this is the number. So let's swing the chairs and I'll bang my foot on the ground and pretend like you hurt me. But this is what the number is. This is what it's going to be. Let's move forward because we need to be out there being servants in the community. So coming into the pandemic, we were able to change that to now we have about a $40 million surplus, which has been great. And that has, even though, of course, everyone's suffering, we have about a 27% end over year revenue decline. We are, I think, positioned very well in the Valley. I know as I stand here now, I'm glad I'm not Clark County, and I'm really glad I'm not the city of Las Vegas, because you have to make the right decisions. An example of making the right decision is whenever the federal government provided CARES Act dollars, our unions right away, because Las Vegas took those dollars and they got 119 million, I think almost all of it, I think 90-something% of it, they took it and they put it into their employees. Our unions came to us and said, hey, do you see what Las Vegas did? I said, yeah, they also had a $52 million structural deficit, not even structural, deficit going into the year. So I said, listen, this is what we're going to do with any dollars that we get is we're going to support our tax base because we will need them for years to come. It's like the golden goose. You need to make sure that you are supporting that tax base because it will help you for years to come. And that's something, so I'm proud to say the city of North Las Vegas, 87% of the dollars we receive from the federal government are going directly to businesses, to homeowners, to landlords, to make sure that we can support them so they're there later on, not to employees. And the dollars that have gone into the city, those are dollars that are for direct COVID-related expenses, things that were not budgeted because I didn't want to take it out of budgeted items and cut those services. We would use the federal dollars for what they were intended for. And that's something that I think is an example. I know if you saw the state last week in the interim finance committee, that was heralded as an example of how you do it. I wish the state would do that also, because if you don't protect the tax base, you will regret it later on. But you have to have that long-term view. It's a view that we always have. We went in with a 5-year budget projection. We started at 7, but apparently people couldn't add that much. So we went down to 5 years, and that's not what they wanted to do. Government loves to just live year to year. They don't want to project out. Because then all of a sudden your decisions that you make, you have to consider the consequences later on. And many times people want to make decisions that their consequences they're worried about is when are they on the ballot again? But you have to go further forward than that. You have to really look out in the horizon. So that's just an example of something we're doing currently within the city. But I will take any questions. Thank you.
And I think that the perspectives that you gave here today, as you know, I've been following you guys day one.
Uh-huh.
And been on that team. And I think that having those insights that you've given us today, how do you think from a business model you're going to transition with the effects of COVID? Like, have you thought about it and said, okay, when we start and it starts, you know, the iceberg begins to melt, right? This is what we think is the right road to go.
Yeah, that's a good. So an example of what I think you have to, what I think COVID has done is it's highlighted poor leadership where it exists. You can't hide. If you were a bad leader before COVID, you are a terrible leader during COVID. So I think that's the first thing. I also think COVID has really highlighted disparity within the community, those that have and those that don't have. I think as far as decision-making goes, COVID has highlighted the need to be nimble regardless of how large you are. And an example of that is so you had I believe this is the order, you can Google it and say I'm wrong, and that's fine because I've had that when I used to teach as a professor. You had the president that did the executive order of emergency like on a Thursday. The governor then did it on a Friday. We did ours on a Sunday. And one of the things about our emergency order is it froze all union contracts, which doesn't mean you go and, you know, start messing with the unions, but you should see that as an exercise in, okay, everything that was the way it was before can now be different. Let's look at everything differently. And so that was on Sunday night. By Tuesday, we closed the libraries, were part of it. So by Tuesday, we had our librarians redeployed to doing other things. And right now, what our librarians in North Las Vegas are doing, because the libraries are still closed, I get it. It'd be nice to have libraries open, but there's other things that take a priority. So our librarians right now, they're calling businesses and connecting them with federal CARES dollars, because that is a more important function for them than being a librarian at this time. So our librarians, that's something that we did the first week it happened. If you pay attention to the news, the state didn't move social workers into the crisis they're having with unemployment until a few weeks ago. That is, and this is not about party affiliation or anything like that. The state had a lot of tools that they could have used in different ways. And if you have assets that you're going to close, instead of having people couch surf and you're paying them, bring them into the institution and put them somewhere. And we've had them in different places. So I think you have to, in a post-pandemic world, you have to be able to make decisions quick. And then you have to make good decisions, which requires a degree of collaboration prior to making the decision, and then go with it. Is there?
You just answered this question.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. How about another question here from the
questions?
Cyberspace? So why does
You muted them? They feel really unfellowshipped.
why does the city of North Las Vegas have their own police department? Couldn't they save a lot of money by using the Metro County Police the way the city of Las Vegas does?
Okay, I'll just pretend I heard it. No, I think what he was saying was, and this is something we looked at, it was about combining different operations across the valley in order to create efficiencies. Well, I'll go with that one. So we took a look at that when we first came in. One of the things we did is we did a shared services exercise with the city of Las Vegas to look at things that you could combine. And one that seems like it appears like it's a logical thing to do is your PD. It was something that the mayor said, which I think always kind of stuck and it made a lot of sense, is If you do that, it loses the ability for management and for our elected officials to really respond to community needs. If you think that the mayor of North Las Vegas, which is a mayor over roughly 270,000 people, would be able to have his phone call answered as quick as the mayor of an entity over 600,000 people, which contributes a larger percentage to the budget, they're not going to prioritize it. So we had looked at that. There weren't cost saving opportunities there. Sometimes consolidation of unions just consolidates the power of the union. Ask CCSD how that works. And it doesn't necessarily lead to good outcomes.
So thank you for your presentation. My question has to do with public safety.
Mhm.
I know you all have made some significant investments in community policing and things like that to build better relations within the community. Perhaps you can chime in a little bit about what are those steps that you've taken to do so.
Yeah, so several steps. I mean, policing is the touchstone for many of our residents when it comes to local government. And it's also one of the things that, when you see on the news a main street where buildings are burning and cars are on fire, that didn't come because someone screwed up in public works, right? That was because of something probably almost 100% of the time happened in the police department. Sometimes it could have been an elected official that might have triggered something. But so far in the United States, we see that here. We don't have a Pinochet running around. Traditionally, it happens in the police department. So that's something that we took a strong stance on, is having community policing within the police department. Also making sure that our police department looked like our community and reflected our community. And there was kind of start and stops on why it wasn't working. And one of the things that we identified was a big time challenge in making sure that our police department looked like our community is, believe it or not, one of the hardest things to do in recruiting and hiring for a police department is people actually being able to pass background checks. Because everyone was stupid when they were 16. They just thought they were smart. And so they made mistakes. These things come up. It's difficult for them. And one of the things that we recognized in North Las Vegas is all of the people on our side, the city side, that were doing background checks, they did not reflect the community. And so if you were having a drive to try and bring in more Hispanics or more African Americans into the force, and then they had to sit in front of a white guy, and by the way, if you've ever been through a background check like these, they're not pleasant, right? They basically ask you everything from bestiality to, it's just not pleasant. And that when you didn't have the cultural connection, you didn't have the ability for people to relate to each other. You didn't have someone, you might have a recruit that is looking at someone and they're thinking, you have no clue what it's like to have grown up in my neighborhood. You have no clue what it's like to get to where I am, even though I have a couple of little blemishes. So that's something that by fixing that helped to make sure that we had a police force that looked like the community, which then helps the community when it comes to community policing. Recruiting or advancements were a mess. And so we had to go into the union contracts and said, no, listen, when it comes to advancing, when it comes to promoting, that is a management function. We're going to take that out of the contract. And the crazy thing is the little stuff they asked for, it was like, okay, yeah, you have to sort of say, oh, that's too much, but you're really like, that's all you want for that? Because this will fundamentally change the department whenever we can have a better process for how people move through the ranks. But that's a management right. It shouldn't be controlled by a union. That's one of the things I say to the teachers union sometimes is your guys' biggest problem is people love teachers, but you protect the bad ones that we don't like. So you can't, that's something that you cannot reconcile with most people. And that's what makes your job so hard. So we knew we had to control that, and that's helped tremendously.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I was working with a group, and we're putting together a private school, and we were looking all over town. We couldn't find any place. We finally found a piece of just dirt in North Las Vegas, and we were kind of worried. Like we didn't know, how's this going to work? And I just want to say we so greatly appreciate the warm welcome that you gave us. All the entitlements just went rocketing through to the offsites. It was such a pleasure to have a business-friendly government who wanted us to come in and open the school. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. And just a quick comment on, I know it's just a comment and I want to hear your question.
It's okay.
One of the things that the mayor says is when it's a problem within the corporate boundaries of North Las Vegas, regardless of what the problem is, it's our problem. And that's the opposite. Like when my first job in DC was an intern in Congress, which sometimes I wish I could do that again. It was a lot of fun. And one of the things that we liked is when someone would call the office and right away you're like, you're from Georgia. What are you calling here? And you can just say, oh, sorry, you have the wrong office. You need to call, this is your representative. If you even went that far, usually it's just sorry, goodbye. Education was something that it is clear that it's a problem. It's very clear that there's not been good solutions that have come. And so we knew that what we were going to do when it came to charter schools is we were going to make sure that there was choice within the community. We've gone back and forth from should we seize the schools? We've actually looked at it legally on bonding and stuff like that. What can we do to disrupt things? And one of the things that you might have not known that was happening is when charter schools come into the city of North Las Vegas, there's a task force within City Hall that makes sure things move fast. Because you have enough obstacles in bringing in a charter school to bring choice and to bring competition into the community that we don't need to create them for you. And we've learned a lot. One of the things that we did as soon as CCSD was doing what they were doing, I'll never forget, I was on the phone. Some trustees wanted to call me because they didn't like that I had said in the newspaper that over 30% of our students would not have broadband. Well, that's based on almost everything that's out there when it comes to the digital divide. And they had the audacity to tell me, well, our survey says it's less than 5%. I said, your survey? Well, tell me about your survey. It was an online survey to see who has internet access. And I thought, I can't believe you got 4%. Who are these 4%? And after that meeting, actually, another thing I said was, and this was about 2 months before they rolled out the program, I said, listen, here's the problem. Whatever you're planning on doing, it's not going to work. In fact, I'll raise you another one. If the pandemic never happened and we were starting school just like normal, like it's been for decades, you would be screwing the students of North Las Vegas. So don't try and tell me whatever you've come up with is somehow going to help them. It's going to be worse than what was already really bad. And after that meeting, I went to the mayor and I said, we've got a problem. This is something that by no measurable data is going to be good for our students. And I don't know if you know, but we started our own school. And I got to tell you, that was ridiculous. The pressure that was on us for providing opportunity. We took 2 of our libraries. We took different facilities. We entered into an agreement with a group that was going to come in and bring teachers. And we were told you can't use the word teacher. Like literally, we got from the state a list of things we couldn't say. We couldn't say micro school, so we called it itty bitty academy. We couldn't say teacher, elementary, student. There was a list of words. And so we thought, this will be fun one day for the media. So we're going to reply back to this list of words with like other words that we'll use like code. And we started the school. And I got to tell you, they did parent-teacher conferences started this week. I got an email yesterday from a single mom. And it was amazing to read the difference that it's made in her kids' lives. We've had students in just a couple months that came in below grade level in reading and are already above grade level in reading. And we have some other things up our sleeve we're going to do to try and change some of these things because it's necessary. I don't think they wanted us to, we were very concerned in having a proof of concept to make sure that we could show that it could be done better ways like charter schools are doing. I don't want, and I told them, I told the state superintendent and the governor, I don't want to be running a school, but you guys have left us no choice.
I'm trying to remember my. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. So, Jim was talking about the officials and the welcoming, and from everything I see, like the residents of North Las Vegas are very loyal. But you had a campaign that, what was it? Go local, go north or something. Was that your doing?
Yeah, they did something like
Yeah. I mean, how successful was that? And what is the marketing strategy going forward? Is that still something, a campaign that you are, putting out there, or what's kind of the marketing strategy?
No, good question. That's something that economic development did. They're still working on it, or I shouldn't say working on it. They're still promoting that. One of the things that we've been successful in doing is going into to attract different businesses into the community. We understand the realities of development and what it takes in order to accommodate a developer and help them with their bottom line. There is nothing wrong with us making millionaires out of people when they come into North Las Vegas. I'm unabashed in saying if people want to come and partner with North Las Vegas and make a ton of money, that's great, because that will benefit the residents later on. I mean, we're talking about above board real stuff. No problem with that. So economic development is something that's actually an interesting part of what we did in North Las Vegas. Is we had people working in our economic development team that had been shelvers in the library before. And it wasn't that they like advanced themselves and then got to a new position. There was layoffs within the city, and then because of rifts within the union contract, they bumped people out. And so one of the first things we did, which resulted in, once again, alligators getting mad and a bunch of bad press from people, in fact, we're still dealing with some of it, is we said we don't need union representation in economic development. We need to make sure we can go out and hire professionals. If there's people in there, if this library shelver, if those are like the best people in the world, perfect. We'll work with them. But we also want to have a different level of accountability that I can have with confidential employees, appointed employees, than I can with union employees. I need to take the shop stewards out. I need to take that process out so that we could rev up the engine and get things going. So one of the things that you will see from our economic development team is a strong emphasis on the testing of things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And I think that they've had a lot of success. We had a goal to have 100 million square feet of new concrete, and we're a little over 70 million square feet of new concrete. If you take the top 10 businesses in the city of North Las Vegas, and we track them kind of close when it comes to the gross sales receipts that we get from them, which is a big revenue part for the city of North Las Vegas. If you take the top 10, 8 of them were not there 5 years ago.
Hi, this is a comment about the, not micro schools, but the
Itty bitty academies.
itty bitty academies. All right. I am friends with your assistant, Dawn Goldberg.
Okay.
And when I saw the article that Mary Lee wrote about the micro schools, which I understand completely opened up Pandora's box for you guys.
Man.
Yeah. I used to teach those kids that he was talking about. And one of the lines in that article says, my kids in North Las Vegas are being left behind a locked door with a jar of peanut butter.
That's right.
And parents are leaving and saying, here's a jar of peanut butter. Don't open the front door. I was absolutely sobbing when I read his article. It was an incredibly touching article. And I immediately wrote an email to Della and told her how I felt. And she wrote back to me and she said, thank you so much for reaching out. The mayor was also super touched by what you wrote. And I just want to applaud you guys for not failing your constituents and really working to help those children, because the bureaucracy of the state, I understand Joe Niebert sent you guys a pretty nice note.
Lots.
And the school district is just unbelievable. So again, thank you for getting around all of that and doing what you said at the very beginning, and that's serving.
Well, thank you.
I just want to make a good comment for you guys as a realtor and having gone through the downturn of 08, 10, 11, where nobody wanted to go to North Las Vegas. Whatever you guys are doing, you're doing a great job to get the message out because your values have gone up. My sellers are so thrilled
Good.
and people are rediscovering North Las Vegas again. And you guys have a lot of building going on
Mhm.
now. So I'm curious, do you know how many residential building permits they actually have out there?
Oh, wow. That's a crazy question. I don't know, but I know that we're on track actually from where we were last year. And valuation is one of those things like, I don't know why government doesn't understand math sometimes and doesn't understand how things work. I mean, they have homes, they, presumably have a budget at their own house. One of the things that we circled on the map, and I probably got a lot of hate mail on this, but is we had a pig farm in the middle of town.
It's on Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, it probably was. And it was a dirty thing. But the thing was crazy is within a 2-mile radius of that pig farm, every home had with their title, they had an odor attachment to it. It was basically a nuisance, an odor nuisance filed with their deed. And so we said, we've got to stop this. And I was going from a meeting and I saw the Mr. Combs, who was in there in City Hall. And I asked who he was meeting with, and just in the course of conversations realized that, oh, he basically comes in, like every year and he sells an easement off on something. And I said, well, that's because his business must not be doing very well. So let's not do any more easements for Mr. Combs. Let's see if we can get the pig farm to go to where pig farm should be. And so within just a short amount of time, the pig farm and what it's resulted in is an increase of about 17% evaluation of those homes. You'd have a home that was in that 2-mile kind of radius. If they were outside it, their value was different. And it's changed that, because that's one of the things, whether you like it or not, the vast majority of Americans, their retirement is in their home. That's their savings. And we knew that if that's something that we could change, we would be changing their lives and changing the community. And so that was something that was one of 5 things on a plank that we knew we needed to go. And that's where we could bring value, if we could help their homes increase. So we would take away these kinds of nuisances, if you will. And I know people wanted to go hang out with the little piglets when they were born. I can't tell you how many emails on people. They're like, we always go there with the piglets. You guys are terrible. I thought, okay, well, when you sell your house for 17% more, you can then thank me.
This is a weird question. So
Oh, the best.
That's what you would expect from Kirk.
yeah. So I believe like the public and government are in a symbiotic relationship, and it's easy to hold government accountable by the vote. How are ways that North Las Vegas can, I guess you could say, hold its citizens accountable to make North Las Vegas even better than it is today?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I'm going to take it a little bit of a different way. Voters and voting preference is an interesting thing. I mean, you see that with the regents right now. You can pretty well go down and predict who's going to win the Board of Regents race. Usually it's who's alphabetically before, who can be identified as a female, because most of us associate females with education. You get a bump there. I think one of the things that we try and do is hold other public officials accountable. One of the things that, I know it didn't make the governor very happy. He said that it was offensive when I didn't say he was a racist, by the way. I said that institutional racism, by very definition, is some of the things that they've done when it came to the CARES Act distribution, when it came to the treatment of our kids in the schools. And he said it was offensive. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. The point is to be offensive. You can do all these proclamations on things that you want and pretend like this is something that's important. But in reality, when you do things as an elected official that are actually completely contrary to what you're saying, especially when it comes to North Las Vegas, we're going to call it out. And I think that I know the brand that I ride for. I tell people a lot of times at City Hall, I'm like, exactly whose name is on your paycheck? It's North Las Vegas. Like they ride for their brand. You ride for your brand. You need to fight for the residents of North Las Vegas. And we, I think, continually do that when it comes to elected officials outside of the city. It doesn't make us the most, it doesn't make us like the most popular people. But, I learned early on when I came out of law school that you have to advocate for your client 100%. And within all the rules, within everything that you have, you need to provide them the kind of advocacy that you would want to have. And then what was shocking is afterwards you would then go to lunch with this person you just ripped. And you start to realize, you know what? I'm not going to be bashful about doing what is right and about supporting those other people. And if that's one of the problems you have in government is you have bureaucrats that move from one entity to the next. So of course they don't want to tick off anybody in RTC because that might make them not get a job there. Well, who cares? If the RTC didn't see the value you had when you were fighting for your residents, then you don't want to be there anyways. So we try and hold other people accountable because the voters, it's just not that I don't trust them, but they're guessers more than voters sometimes.
Thank you, Ryan. And we do have something for you. But before that, can I ask you for one more favor?
Sure.
A freebie for everybody?
What is it?
After 5 years of sitting down front at city council meetings, my guess is you've seen and heard just about everything. And so as a freebie for our members who may have to appear in front of the North Las Vegas City Council with a client, can you give them some do's and don'ts real quickly?
Okay. So don't say you've got a chip in your head from the CIA. That's usually a non-starter. I think the most important thing to understand is, and you want this, by the way, you want a lot of decision making and a lot of the process to not be happening in an hour and a half. And it doesn't mean there's like smoke-filled rooms, that there's these secret deals, but you need to make sure that you're reaching out to those people that are making decisions prior to the meeting, much prior to the meeting. And that you're making sure that your client or whoever, or your position, it's being heard and it's being advocated for. Because staff, we brief them before, there'll be staff recommendations on the agenda. So I think don't be silly enough to think that the decisions are being made right there, because there's a lot of stuff that's coming into it and you need to get your information in front of them sooner rather than later.
And we have something for you. We give each of our speakers a Share What You Can award. We're going to make a donation to the USO Community Service Program in your name.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're social distance.
Yeah.
Oh, I hold this up. Okay.
Well, thank you for a great talk, Ryan. And thank you all for being such polite audience members. And one last reminder on your way out the door, if you didn't have a chance to look at those clipboards and sign up for the things you need to sign up for, please do that. If you've got 10 or 15 minutes before you have to be somewhere else and can stay to help us sort some candy into bags for the kids in Bracken, we'd very much appreciate that. And on that note, meeting adjourned.
Bye, Zoomers. Have a good week.
Bye, everybody. Take care. Stay safe.
See you later. See you next week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Nice to see you, John and Jimmy.
I see you all. Bye.
Bye.